1980s R&B had a glow that felt like warm streetlights after sunset, where love stories, neon dreams, and late-night heartbreaks shaped the soundtrack of a generation. These 15 forgotten 80s R&B gems remind us how sweet that decade truly sounded, and why each of these tracks deserves to rise again. Number 15, Just Call, by Seawind. Released in 1980 on A&M Records, this silky track arrived right at the crossroads between jazz fusion and modern R&B. Seawind had already built a reputation as a tight Los Angeles ensemble, but this song marked a turning point. Offering a smoother, more soulful edge that hinted at the sound the decade would soon embrace. What makes it unforgettable is how many legendary players passed through the band, including future Grammy-winning horn sections that shaped the sound of Michael Jackson in Earth, Wind and Fire. I'm spinning my wheels. Tucked within this tune is a subtle magic. You can practically feel the warm studio lighting, the analog tape rolling, the airy vocals drifting like perfume across a dimly lit club. It is the kind of song that brings back memories of late-night dedication hours on FM radio, windows cracked open, and a gentle breeze carrying the chorus down the block. On fire every time we kiss. Though it never climbed to major chart heights, its influence lived quietly through the musicians who helped design some of the biggest records of the decade. If you love a groove that mixes elegance with emotion, you will feel right at home here. And if you think this one is smooth, wait until you hear what is coming next. Number 14, Stay a Little While Child, by Loose Ends.
A label entitled Slow Down, a great welcome, please, gang, for Loose Ends.
Dropping in 1986 on MCA Records, this track arrived during a moment when Loose Ends was transforming British R&B into something sleek, modern, and magnetic. The group had already tasted success, but this tune came from a period of experimentation, where electronic drums, soft, focused synths, and London cool blended perfectly with American soul traditions. One of the surprising bits of studio lore behind this song is how heavily it influenced the developing New Jack Swing movement. Producers who would soon define the late 80s sound quietly studied Loose Ends, borrowing ideas about space, groove, and atmosphere.
If there's no time, you know it's up to you.
Listening now, you can almost feel the glow of neon signs reflecting off wet sidewalks, the slow pulse of a drum machine echoing through a smoky club, and the effortless charm of midnight conversations that felt like they might never end. Although the track never broke into the mainstream with the force it deserved. Its fingerprints show up everywhere, from quiet storm playlists to the DNA of 90s R&B. It is a reminder of a moment when style and soul walked hand in hand. And if this groove feels irresistible, prepare yourself, because the next entry taps into a whole different kind of energy. Number 13, Baby Be Mine, by Mickey Howard, released in 1987 by Atlantic Records. This gem arrived at a pivotal point in Mickey Howard's rising career. She had already begun carving out a space as one of the most expressive voices of the era. But this track captured her right before she broke through in a big way. The song's creation hid a little-known detail. Several top-tier producers of the time quietly admired Howard's vocal agility. Often saying she had the kind of voice that could turn a simple melody into pure velvet. You can almost picture a candlelit apartment, cassette deck spinning, and her voice filling the room like warm honey on a winter night. Although it never became her biggest hit, the song aged beautifully, becoming one of those hidden treasures that dedicated fans still swear by. And if this kind of tender emotion speaks to you, trust me, the next track will stir up even deeper memories. Number 12, You're the One for Me by D-Train. Arriving in 1981 on Prelude Records, this electrifying cut introduced the world to the powerhouse duo of James D-Train Williams and Hubert Eaves. The early 80s were shifting toward electronic funk. And this track helped define that transition with its infectious mix of synthesizers, soulful gritties, and dance floor adrenaline. Behind the scenes, the song became a quiet legend among producers. Its signature bass line and drum programming was studied obsessively by early pioneers of house music in Chicago and New York. Inspiring DJ edits and underground remixes long before most listeners ever heard them. Close your eyes, and it feels like walking into a roller rink on a Friday night. Disco lights spinning, sweat in the air, and the pulse of the track carrying you forward. While it never conquered the pop charts, it became the heartbeat of dance clubs and laid groundwork for an entire wave of electronic R&B fusion. If you love a track that blends muscle with melody, this one deserves a spot in your playlist. And if this energy has you moving, the next entry brings things back to a silky slow burn. Number 11, Don't Disturb This Groove by The System.
Are you listening? You're my favorite girl.
Released in 1987 on Atlantic Records, this song captured The System at the height of their creativity. They were known for their futuristic production, and this track wrapped their signature electronic style in a surprisingly romantic glow.
On the door, I say, don't disturb this groove.
There is a famous studio anecdote behind this one. Insiders say the final vocal was recorded in near darkness, with the lights dimmed so singer Mike Murphy could lock fully into the mood. Listening today, you can practically feel that atmosphere. Soft synth pads floating like moonlight, a beat so gentle you could sway to it half asleep, and lyrics that feel like a whispered secret between two lovers who want the night to stretch on forever. It was a modest chart success, but its deeper legacy is the way it shaped Quiet Storm playlists and inspired countless producers seeking that perfect balance of intimacy and technology. And if this kind of mood lights you up, wait until you hear what is waiting just ahead. Number 10, Let Me Love You Down by Ready for the World.
It really mattered too much to me.
Released in 1986 on MCA Records, this was a defining moment for the Michigan-based group, just as their blend of synth funk and tender balladry was reaching its stride.
Let me love you down.
The mid-80s were packed with polished production and crossover dreams, and this track captured that era in a warm, shimmering glow. One of the most fascinating behind-the-scenes notes is how unexpectedly young the band members were when they crafted many of their hits. Their ability to write and arrange such mature-sounding slow jams led several industry veterans to assume they were seasoned artists with decades of experience.
All that really mattered was you were my girlfriend.
Listening today, you can almost feel the soft hum of a bedroom radio, lights turned low, and the quiet anticipation of waiting for your favorite slow jam to come on right before the DJ signed off for the night. While the track charted respectably, its true legacy rests in the way it influenced dozens of slow jam artists who followed.
Let me love you down.
Especially those blending youthful vulnerability with soulful confidence. If you think this one feels good, The next track brings an even deeper emotional pull. Number 9, All I Do by Stevie Wonder. Though written years earlier, Stevie Wonder's 1980 version released on Motown arrived just as the new decade began reshaping R&B into its next form. By this time, Stevie was already a legend, but this album cut carried a charm that felt like a secret treasure for real fans. A little known detail is that the background vocals on this track were performed by 2 rising talents who would later become household names, each absorbing Stevie's phrasing like students learning from a master. Press play, and it transports you instantly. A sunny afternoon, windows down, the warm sway of Detroit soul guiding you block by block. It is a reminder of how effortlessly Stevie could fuse joy with yearning. Even without being a single, the song became a quiet classic embraced by radio DJs who knew its power. And if this one hits your heart, number 8 brings a glow you will not soon forget. Number 8, Take Your Time, Do It Right by the SOS Band, released in 1980.
Let's do it. Take your time.
On Taboo Records, this track emerged during a moment when Atlanta's R&B scene was beginning to stretch its wings. The SOS Band had just teamed up with the production duo Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and this collaboration marked the spark of something powerful. A lesser-known detail is how this song quietly helped redefine the sound of early 80s dance floors. Its groove was slower than the disco hits that came before, yet more rhythmic and refined than the funk records that dominated the late 70s.
Baby, we can do it. Take the time, do it right. We can do it.
Engineers from that era often commented on how unusually deep the kicky drum sat in the mix, creating a warm heartbeat that pulled dancers straight into its pocket. Listen today, and you can practically hear the clatter of glasses in a packed club, lights moving across the floor, couples two-stepping with effortless cool.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It'll take all night. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Though it enjoyed chart success, its long-term legacy is in how producers studied its balance of melody and rhythm to shape future R&B. And if this song makes you want to move a little closer, the next one dives deeper into emotional territory. Number 7, Don't Stop Your Love by Keith Sweat. Arriving in 1987 on Vintertainment and Elektra Records, this track came right as Keith Sweat was defining the New Jack Swing era. Before he became a household name, he was experimenting with a new style that blended traditional soul vocals with modern drum programming.
So we won't be disturbed.
This song captured that early chemistry perfectly. Behind the scenes, producers often mention how Sweat preferred to record his vocals late at night when the studio was nearly empty. They said his tone had more warmth and vulnerability after midnight, something you can feel in every line of this track.
Touch me, honey. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop.
Listening now, it is easy to imagine the scene. A dimly lit room, the glow of a desk lamp, the slow rhythm echoing like footsteps down a quiet hallway, and the sense that love is something delicate you have to hold gently. Though overshadowed by his later hits, this song remains one of his most underrated moments. And if this longing stirs your memory, wait until you hear number 6, which carries its own late-night magic. Number 6, Send For Me by Atlantic Starr.
I thought that everything was fine.
Released in 1981 on A&M Records, This tender ballad found Atlantic Starr in a moment of transition. They were shifting from funkier roots toward a smoother, more romantic sound that would soon define their biggest hits.
Yes, it has.
Something special happened in the studio during the making of this track. Members later shared that they recorded the harmonies around a single microphone to capture a natural blend, letting their voices merge in real time. That choice gave the song a warm, intimate tone that feels like a hug from decades past. Close your eyes and you can almost picture a school dance gymnasium decorated with paper streamers, the chaperones half asleep.
Doesn't mean nothing with you and I.
And this song guiding slow dancing couples through their first taste of young love. While not their most famous hit, its legacy has grown quietly, especially among fans of early 80s slow jams. And speaking of memories, we are just reaching the halfway mark. So now is the perfect time for a quick breather before we dive into the top 5.
That special delivery man.
If these forgotten R&B gems are bringing back warm memories, tap the like button. It helps keep this musical journey alive. And stay tuned, because the final 5 tracks are some of the most overlooked treasures of the entire decade. Number 5, Settles for Love by Glenn Jones.
When I first held your hand and we started today.
Released in 1988 on Jive Records, this song captured Glenn Jones during a period when his voice was becoming one of the smoothest forces in late 80s R&B.
Just begun, the romance is not over. And
He had already proven himself as a vocalist with rare emotional precision, but this track showed how gracefully he could blend vulnerability with quiet strength. One of the little-known details about the recording is that Jones reportedly nailed most of the lead vocals in just a few takes.
romance is not over. I got so much love.
Engineers said he had a gift for locking into the emotional center of a song almost instantly. Listening today, you can almost see a rain-streaked window, the room lit by nothing but a bedside lamp, and his voice drifting through the stillness like a heartfelt confession.
They just begun. The romance is not over. I got
Although it did not become one of his biggest chart successes, the song matured into a cult favorite among slow jam collectors and remains a testament to his underrated influence on late 80s romance-driven R&B. If this one brought a lump to your throat, just wait. The next track glows with even deeper intimacy. Number 4, Come Over by Midnight Star.
just like sweet wine, baby.
Released in 1983 on Solar Records, this unforgettable quiet storm gem came from a group best known for their energetic funk and dance floor anthems.
So softly on my pillow. Girl.
But here, Midnight Star surprised fans with a soft and tender slow jam that showcased a whole different side of their musical personality. A surprising detail often shared by session players is that the group intentionally kept the arrangement simple to let the vocals breathe.
On your love, just because.
They believed the emotional weight of the harmonies would get lost if they layered on too many synths or percussion tracks. And they were right. Press play, and it feels like a warm summer night on a front porch, crickets humming, the world slowing down just enough to let romance unfold.
Just a little bit, ooh, just a little bit, baby.
For many fans, this track became the soundtrack to early relationships, handwritten love notes, and long phone calls stretching into sunrise. Though overshadowed by the band's bigger hits, its legacy has only deepened with time. And if that tenderness made your heart ache, the top 3 will take you even further into forgotten brilliance. Number 3, Tell Me Tomorrow by Smokey Robinson, released in 1982 on Motown. This track found Smokey Robinson embracing the evolving sound of early 80s R&B while maintaining his unmistakable lyrical poetry. By this point in his career, Smokey had nothing left to prove. Yet, he continued to experiment and deliver songs full of storytelling grace. A fascinating trivia point is that the synth line in this track was added late in the production process after a producer insisted it would give the song a more modern feel.
If you can't be mine,
Smokey loved the idea so much that he called it the finishing touch the record needed. Hearing it now, you can picture a quiet evening in the city, streetcars humming in the distance, and Smokey's voice floating like a soft breeze between apartment windows. Although it never reached the same fame as some of his earlier classics, fans who know this song cherish it like a rare jewel. And if Smokey's charm pulls you in, number 2 offers a forgotten masterpiece you might not believe slipped through the cracks. Number 2, Love Overboard by Gladys Knight and the Pips, released in 1987 on MCA Records.
they tell me, Gladys, you know you love too hard.
This upbeat yet soulful track arrived late in the group's storied career and proved they still had the magic to command the charts. The mid to late 80s were saturated with electronic production, and Gladys Knight embraced it with style, allowing her timeless voice to ride atop bright synths and crisp rhythms.
My love's in need of help. Love overboard, love overboard.
One of the more surprising behind-the-scenes notes is how the group was initially unsure about recording such a modern-sounding track. But once Gladys stepped into the booth and delivered those first powerhouse lines, everyone in the studio knew they had something special.
So mine, and there's so much more I'd like to do.
Listening today, you can almost picture an energetic family reunion. Barbecue grills smoking, cousins dancing on the patio, and this song lifting everyone's spirits into the warm summer air. It went on to become a Grammy-winning hit, but somehow still gets overlooked when people talk about 80s R&B classics. And if this lively groove warmed your heart, nothing will prepare you for the emotional Quiet Storm masterpiece sitting at number 1. Number 1, If You Were Here Tonight by Alexander O'Neal. Released in 1985 on Taboo Records, this slow-burning ballad remains one of the most heartfelt expressions of longing ever recorded in the decade. Alexander O'Neal was working closely with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at the time, and together they crafted a sound that was both modern and deeply soulful. A little-known detail is that O'Neal recorded some of the vocals in near silence with the air conditioning turned off so every breath and whisper would come through clearly. The result is a performance that feels as intimate as a journal entry. Close your eyes and you are transported to a lonely apartment balcony at night, streetlights glowing in soft halos, a cool breeze brushing your face as this song plays in the background. Though it charted modestly at the time, it has since grown into a beloved classic. Sampled by modern artists and cherished by fans who know its emotional pull. If any song from the 80s deserves a massive comeback, it is this one. And what a perfect way to close out our countdown. From neon-lit grooves to tender quiet storm confessions, these forgotten 80s R&B songs still carry a magic that time could never fade. Thank you for taking this nostalgic journey with me. If you want to keep the vibe alive, subscribe and never miss our next deep dive into classic R&B. And on the end screen, make sure to check out our previous countdown dedicated to 15 forgotten 70s R&B songs that deserve a comeback. Let's keep the music playing